Mainstream gaming is getting expensive and is becoming so corporatized to sell well that they're missing what makes video games great. Indie games are cheaper, far more creative passion projects that respect players' time. So yeah, I kinda played a lot of them. I hope by reviewing these games, I inspire you to try out indie games for yourself, or even introduce you to a game you might try. But enough preamble, let's talk about these games. The first thing that kicked all of this off is I went back and finished Animal Well. I kind of admire that beating this game and seeing the credits is not too tough and can be done in around 6 hours. Yet the game only stops when you, the player, want it to stop. There's more endings than this first one, and each one gets more complex and time intensive. There's the true ending by getting all the collectible eggs in the game, also known as the 100% completionist ending. Then there's the secret true ending, which is gotten by rescuing all the bunnies, which requires some insanely complex augmented reality type solutions. Then there's the super secret true ending, which you can see the pain frustration in the face of Billy Basco, the creator of the game, when the internet discovered it.
Are there still secrets in the game? I don't know.
Due to Billy being elusive, people are still digging in to see if there's a 5th ending, but look at that face again. That 4th ending is it, and he is so mad people know about it. What an odd duck. How do I begin? The game is only halfway over at this point with 3 remaining chapters. Sometimes I'd call this game a stand-up act, more than I would call it a video game. Sometimes I'd call this a teenage angsty horror anime, more than I'd call it a video game. Sometimes I'd call this just a video game and stop looking into it so much. It's clearly made for children, but also has several more no holding the punches moments that cultivate that adult audience as well. I love that the game is whatever you want to make of it. Is it a fun video game about youngins going through puberty? Yes. Is it full of secrets, hidden meanings, and adult undertones where you can spend more time outside of the game figuring it all out than time actually playing the game? Yes. I love how it uses game mechanics to interact with the player on a personal level. It's hard to describe if you haven't experienced it, but it's rare for me to sit down my controller and stare at the game like a literal piece of art to try and figure out its meaning and correlation to my own life. I absolutely love this game, but I'm a weirdo just like this game. Let me be clear, I don't like Hollow Knight. I know the beginning of the game is designed to make the player feel bad, so each boss fight, reward, and upgrade feels good, but I don't like it. It's too punishing, and I don't feel good playing it. Luckily, playing Hollow Knight is not required to enjoy Silksong. I think Silksong is a perfect game, and deserves a perfect score. I can make a whole video on why, but simply put, I had no bugs or glitches, movement felt flawless, everything is in the game at launch, exploration is great, and the price tag makes a point to greedy corporations. This game has literally pushed the video game industry to a better point. I played the first 15 hours enjoying exploration and challenging gameplay. It's an experience I would recommend to anyone, but then I spent the next 8.5 hours fighting just 2 bosses. When I learned afterwards I was just a third of the way through the game, I stopped playing. At least for now. Yes, another Metroidvania, but one that does everything right. The game is hard, but it never stops being fun. The first boss took me forever to beat, but I had so much fun doing so, I wrote an entire essay on it, which I guess I'll put on the screen now, since I no longer plan on making a video on it. Your character kind of controls like a Smash Bros character, except if Yi was in Smash Bros, he would be my main and I wouldn't play as anyone else because the controls are that great. Pair this with great art and a great story, and the game is a treat. I love it. The Plucky Squire constantly made me ask, why am I doing this? It was interesting enough to push through it, and they really did nail that storybook to life aesthetic. But why? What's the reason to bring a storybook to life? I understand this game is more casual and targeted towards a much younger audience than myself, but especially after playing so many indie games back to back to back that all have this depth to them and are moving the whole video game industry forward in a much better direction, it's hard not to criticize this straightforward game no matter how well it nails its concept. Another Metroidvania. Admittedly, at a quick glance, that's all that this game seems to be. But it's a different game altogether when played. It looks better, plays better, and has an incredible aromatic soundtrack. It mechanically mixes things up from other Metroidvanias, like it's not the main character that attacks. It also gets rid of the Dark Souls thing where the main character loses everything when they die, and replaces it with a traditional leveling system.
Hooray!
My only complaint is that its overly gimmicky story is told densely in letters and could have been handled much better. This game inspired Undertale. I was sold. Unfortunately, in this re-release, they had to replace the soundtrack. Some tracks are worse and some tracks are better, but I thought about every track instead of just feeling it and paying it no mind. The game is short and it took me about 6 hours to beat, but I nearly gave up on it 3 or 4 times due to the combat being frustrating. Combat is integrated into the game's admittedly excellent narrative, so I don't wish they did away with it, I just didn't like it. There really is a beautiful gem here in all the mud, but it was just tough for me to pull it out. Sea of Stars blew me away with its return to classic role-playing games, so when I learned the same studio made a prequel inspired by old action games like Ninja Gaiden, I was sold. Boy, does this game feel great to play. It implements an upgrade system that alleviates a lot of the pain those older games had. This game is hilarious, by the way. So many genuinely funny moments for me. So glad to see this studio passionately making the games they want to make, inspired by the games they love. It's 1999, and the latest web engine needs help monitoring harassment and illegal activities. Trust me, Hypnospace Outlaw is a lot more weird and creative in its premise than this. But just go into it as blind as possible. I don't want to say much, but I will say I was nostalgic throughout most of this game. It's impressive how much hard work they put into this game to make it a faithful reenactment down memory lane. Mom, we have Zelda at home. Zelda at home. Admittedly, the knockoff vibes made me nearly drop this game. That was until I discovered the twist halfway through the playthrough. I wouldn't dare reveal it, but it did cause me to see everything in the game differently. Like Green Apple Fun Dip, it changed from being a Zelda clone to a deep and satisfying puzzle game. Axiom Verge is not a Metroidvania, it's just a Metroid game. I believe it does better than Metroid with its atmosphere. The music and sound effects provide this dark, heavy, but cool feeling versus the lonely and scared feeling of Metroid. No weapon felt better than any other weapon, they just felt different. I believe it's worse than Metroid in how it controls. It's not bad, it's just not as precise. Metro games also seem to grip me when Axiom Verge felt like I was just having a chill time. This game was made by a white guy from America who clearly has a deep love for anime and video games. This allows for a couple major twists on your typical visual novel game. First, nothing seems lost in translation. There is subtitles in the dialogue and script that would normally be hard to understand, but I instantly understood them when I read them. Second, and far more major, he doesn't stick to the traditional tropes and designs that you would see in most visual novels from Japan. He uses this to critique the visual novel's form to the point of parody. This game is the man's honest attempt to change the genre he loves. The game starts off as a lighthearted dating sim and gradually becomes more and more darker until it devolves into complete horror. I wouldn't dare spoil it, but I say this with full sincerity. This game gets dark. Imagine a turn-based role-playing game that was just random encounters. Welcome to Star Renegades. It's a very mechanical engine-building type game with weird procedurally generated roguelike elements. There is a set number of unchanging encounters with random drops and upgrades. So there's no grinding, there's just dealing with what the game provides to you to win. The combat system reminds me very much of Octopath Traveler, which is a good thing. Difference is, where Octopath Traveler offers a lot more on the table in between combat, Star Renegades does not. Not to say it doesn't have a story or exploration, it's just that there's not much of it, and it doesn't matter anyways, which is why I dropped the game. Before I go on, I must mention this. This game really lays out all of its cards on the table. It shows every incoming enemy attack, on which character and when. They even show what the boss at the end of the area is weak to and all of their stats at the beginning of the area so the player can create a build against them before they arrive. All the numbers are out there, so feel free to get lost in the math to win. Sometimes I just want to go to a restaurant or coffee house and talk adult to another human being. Firewatch is basically that in video game form. Great story, meh mechanics. I marathoned this game in a day, and it was the wilderness retreat I needed in my life at that moment. For my birthday, my mom got me a Nintendo gift card that I was planning on using for Pokemon Legends ZA. Shortly after, we ran into a hard time where money was tight. So, instead of getting Pokemon, I got 8 of these indie games I mentioned, and I enjoyed each one of them so much more than I would have Pokemon. Sometimes when life gets hard and doesn't go to plan, we can find something even better than our plans. No matter where you're at or what's going on, I hope you go out and have fun.